Hello everyone, and let's check out round 10 between Morphy and Adolf Anderssen. This is the 10th official chess game between these two players, and Paul Morphy is leading. Paul Morphy is 7 and Anderssen is 2 points. The first player who scores the 7th win will be victorious in the series of matches. So this can confuse you that Paul Morphy is 7 points right now. And why Morphy is not the winner? Well, because I also counted the draws. That was only for my score system. So according to the score system at that time, they were not counting the draws. So the real score of this game, Morphy is 6 points and Anderssen is 1 point right now, according to the score system at that time. But anyway, I also counted the draws. So I think it's not very important anyway. So Paul Morphy needs only 1 more win. And then Morphy is going to be victorious. And Anderssen needs 6 more wins in order to defend his title. It looks very difficult for Anderssen. So let's quickly check out this very beautiful chess game between Anderssen and Morphy. This game was played in December 27 in 1858 Paris, and Paul Morphy is playing with the black pieces this time. Anderssen has the white pieces. And in the previous chess game, Paul Morphy demolished Adolf Anderssen. He simply crushed his opponent in 70 moves. And Anderssen needs to do something about it, at least for saving his honor. So Adolf Anderssen, who has the white pieces, starts the game with his famous, funny opening, A3, the Anderssen's opening, E5 by Paul Morphy, C4, knight to F6, knight to C3, D5, C takes on D5, knight takes on D5, E3, bishop to E6, knight to F3, bishop to D6, bishop to E2, and both players castled, exchanging the knights. B takes on C3, F5, D4, E4 attacking the knight, knight to D2, rook to F6, rook lift by Paul Morphy, not wasting any time, and hoping to crush his opponent from this H-file. That was the idea of Paul Morphy, so F4, rook to H6, placing the rook in the H-file and hoping to attack to the white king. G3, knight to D7, knight to C4, bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop, king to H8, rook to A2, rook lift, adding more defense on H2, queen to E7, A4, knight to F6, queen to B3, C6, bishop to E6, and rook to E8 by Paul Morphy. Paul Morphy is encouraging Adolf Anderssen to capture the pawn on F5. But in this position, Anderssen didn't capture the pawn. He retreated his bishop to C4. After rook to E8, bishop takes on F5 is a blunder, because G6 is trapping the bishop. Where is the bishop going? Nowhere. So this is trapping the bishop and black is winning. It's over for white. Of course, Anderssen was not a chess patzer. That's why after rook to E8, he played bishop to C4, knight to G4, rook to G2, rook to B8, bishop to E2, knight to F6, C4, B6, bishop to B2, queen to F7, queen to C2, bishop to E7, bishop to C3, rook to G8, A5, bishop to D6, A takes on B6, pawn takes pawn, rook to A1, G5, F takes on G5, rook takes on G5, rook to A8 by Anderssen, that's check, blocking with the rook, queen to A4, exchanging the rooks, queen to E8, blocking, also exchanging the queens, simplifying the game, C5 by Adolf Anderssen, a good move, and in this position, of course, Paul Morphy didn't capture the pawn, he retreated his bishop to C7, and once again, in this position, capturing the pawn is out of questions. If b takes on c5, d takes on c5. That's also check to the king with the bishop, king to g8, and pawn takes bishop. So this is why capturing the pawn is a blunder. And Morphy didn't capture the pawn. Bishop to c7, bishop to c4, king to g7, c takes on b6, bishop takes on b6, rook to b2, saving the bishop but rook to b7 by Anderssen, pinning the bishop. And can you see the threat? Bishop to a5. Seems like a logical threat in this position. So unpinning the bishop, bishop to b4, rook to g6, bishop to f8, h5 by Morphy, king to f2, h4, sacrificing the pawn, temporary, g takes on h4 but rook to g4, h5, defending, insisting, attacking the pawn, h6, but leaving the h-pawn, rook takes on h2, check, king to g1, rook to h3, bishop to f1, rook to g3, check. Well, in this position, capturing the pawn is tempting for black, but Morphy didn't capture the pawn, because Morphy is not a fool. But what would happen if rook takes pawn? If rook takes on e3, like a fish, then h7, and you can't stop the h-pawn. If trying to defend with the rook, bishop takes rook on h3. So rook to g3 by Morphy, king to f2, rook to g4, bishop to c4, rook to h4, and bishop to g8, planning to defend the pawn with the bishop on h7. So in this position, Paul Morphy played bishop to d6, exchanging the bishops, rook to d7, attacking the knight, knight to e8, h7. Only one move left for Anderssen to promote a queen, but right now the rook is defending the pawn. For now, king to g5, rook to e7, attacking the knight, knight to d6, rook to e6 again, attacking the knight, knight to c4. And in this position, Anderssen captured the pawn. Positionally, and right now, materially, Adolf Anderssen is much more better. He is winning right now. And some modern grandmasters in our time would resign in this position. So Paul Morphy is losing. Knight to d2, king to e2 by Anderssen, attacking the knight, but rook to h2, check, king to d1, knight to f3, rook to c7, king to g6, d5. Also Anderssen created the second pass pawn. And also the d-pawn is looking very dangerous for Paul Morphy. Maybe Morphy needs to resign, but we all know that Paul Morphy has a fighting spirit and he doesn't like to lose. He likes to fight until the end. So after d5, we have f4. E takes on f4, e3. Rook to e7, defending the e-pawn with the rook. e2, rook takes on e2, of course. Capturing the rook with the rook would be a very bad move. That's why Morphy played rook to h1, that's check, king to c2, and then knight to d4, winning the exchange. Check, king to d2, knight takes rook, king takes on e2, but still, white is winning. White is much better in this position, as you can see. And maybe Morphy needs to resign, but he didn't resign, and he played some meaningless moves. Some very annoying moves for his opponent. Rook to d1, bishop to e6, rook to d4, king to e5, and let me show you the other moves. So f6, that's check, king takes on h7, but king to d6. It's all over for Paul Morphy. Morphy played rook to a1, king to e7, rook to a7 by Paul Morphy. The last move of Morphy, because Anderssen played bishop to d7 and Paul Morphy resigned. What a game! And I believe this game was also a very instructive chess game for the beginner and for the intermediate level chess players. A very beautiful, fascinating chess game from the history of chess. But still, at this moment of the game, Morphy had this very comfortable score advantage, and Morphy needs only one more victory, and Andersson needs 5 more wins in order to defend his title. It seems unrealistic. Maybe Andersson realized that he is losing his chances, he is going to lose the match. But finally, he put up a very good fight against Paul Morphy. I think it's not necessary to show you the possible continuation because it's very obvious, and after this position, there is no defense for black. But let me show you the possible continuation as usual. So, king to g6, let's say, and there is no defense for black. Rook takes on d7, king takes on f7, but d-pawn is unstoppable. King to e8, king to c7, and d-pawn is going to be a queen, whatever black does, and black is getting checkmated eventually. So this is why, after Andersson played bishop to d7, Paul Morphy resigned. So if we won't count the draws, Morphy is 6 points, and Andersson is 2 points. Morphy needs one more victory, and then it's going to be all over for Andersson, and Paul Morphy is going to be the new unofficial world chess champion recognized by the chess world. He will be the leading chess player in the world. That was a very important moment in the brief chess career of Paul Morphy. So I hope you have enjoyed watching this video, and I hope to see you next time. Take care and bye bye.